good. Gather around the podium a little bit. If you want to keep a hand on these, you can. Yeah, nice to have it change a little. Yeah.
In my backyard, I feel like I'll just go around for months. Like, oh, what?
So the kids do.
Yeah.
It's coming. No, we'll move it. Yeah, but we're not. It's one of those things where I feel like, well, we're stuck in the herd, so I'm like,
Gretchen, you want me holding that?
yeah, and then step out a little bit so you can see too if you want.
Could he stand in the street? It'll be, that what could go wrong?
I'll be right behind Wade. Yeah.
So are you guys still
We're still figuring this out.
My daughter was speaking the exact same thing that we were last year. And we actually just sold our stuff at market price.
Oh, no.
And they came to get it over the weekend. She lost her mind. She's like, we need those. Like, get a couple of things. I know we get to renew it every year. That's not the surprise.
Well, that was dramatic timing, I suppose, if nothing else. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. We're joined by members of our economic development team here in the City of Toledo. Commissioners Brandon Selhorst, Sandy Spang, and everyone who does such a good job helping to create jobs in our community. And they are doing a good job, or else we would not have won the most prestigious award that cities can win for economic development, which is the Governor's Cup Award that we won earlier this year from Site Selection Magazine, ranking us as the #1 city in the entire country for new business investment. But we've already announced that. Today we're here to announce something else, and I guess more to the point. Last week we released the specifics of the American Rescue Plan and the ordinance that we presented to City Council, and City Council is going to begin considering it at their agenda meeting tomorrow. What we think makes sense is to take some time over the upcoming days and weeks and to do a deeper dive into some of the initiatives that we have proposed in the American Rescue Plan. And so over time, we are going to be doing that. We wanted to begin with this because, frankly, while there are dollars assigned to this program in the American Rescue Plan, we believe in this approach so much that we're beginning it with current resources as part of a pilot program. So we're talking about this because this is already happening, or it's going to be happening here along the Broadway corridor in the Old South End. But we are also hopeful that City Council embraces our larger concept as contained within the American Rescue Plan. So specifically, what we are talking about is helping to re-energize economic development corridors of the kind that we find ourselves in here today. Now, the pilot project I talked about is going to begin here and will be confined to the Old South End, this historic Broadway corridor. So what I'm about to describe is happening, and it's happening here. Again, it's our hope that going forward with City Council's blessing, our American Rescue Plan can be approved, and that would contain the resources to do this citywide. But what would it look like, and what will it look like here in this neighborhood? We're calling this a community reinvestment area, and there are two parts of it that we want to focus on: the Facade Improvement Grant and the Whitebox Grant. We're talking about corridors like this, corridors along important streets in our community that form the basis of neighborhood economic activity, or at least they had in the past. So yes, the historic South End, the Broadway corridor here is one great example, but you could also imagine the LaGrange Street corridor, parts of Summit Street, even up in Point Place, along Sylvania Avenue in the Library Village, parts of Reynolds Road. We all can sort of visualize these areas in our town, defined not exclusively, but often by commercial buildings like this that are 75 to 100 years old, that were built close to the road in the style of how neighborhoods were built. And they provided jobs and opportunity for people in those neighborhoods. They provided opportunities for folks to be able to walk to get their their daily needs met, whether it was a beauty salon or a place to buy hardware or whatever it was. Toledo has pockets of corridors like this that formed the basis of a vibrant neighborhood-based economic development structure. We've lost that a lot over time. Every city has. The flow of population shifts in the 60s and 70s out to the suburbs made it difficult for corridors like this to survive, and we went through cycles where this sort of economic activity happened out in cornfields that became shopping malls. Well, now we believe that the momentum, the pendulum has swung back, and the excitement and investment we've seen in the core of our city, we believe can extend to sections like this. So to help promote that and to help rekindle the sense of neighborhood identity and neighborhood economic activity, we're launching these programs. And in particular, a Facade grant, I think, is relatively self-explanatory on its face. We're talking about resources to help business owners, be able to get some resources to put, to put a, more attractive face on the building that they are marketing. And the Whitebox grant is something I'm excited about too. The concept of whiteboxing, it might not be new, but it is not always understood by folks who aren't in the economic development field. When you think about building, there are some occasions in Toledo where developers build a spec building. The Overland Industrial Park is a great example of how spec buildings were built. They weren't necessarily sure who the tenant was going to be, but they believed strongly enough in their location and their concept that if there was simply a building, a 500,000 square foot building in the right location, they knew business would come. And when you look at the Overland Industrial Park, it has worked. There's some locations at the airport, same way. Whiteboxing is sort of the idea of taking an already existing structure like the sorts we see here and preparing it for development the same way. You can almost think of it as a pre-built spec building that with resources provided by, in this case, the city, buildings that may be vacant right now would be able to have utilities put in, new wiring, new coat of paint, to essentially get them ready for a developer, so that the developer can walk in and hit the ground running. A lot of times with different regulations, Americans with Disability Act, some of the challenges that you see in these old corridors, a developer might be intrigued but turns away when faced with the cost of getting the business ready to go. Whiteboxing is a way to essentially use the concept of a spec building in an already existing shell by getting the business ready to go from the standpoint of utilities and wiring and sewer and other logistics, so that all a developer has to do is to, or a business person has to do, is sort of come in and hit the ground running. We think that in corridors like this, with the assistance of the Facade grant, can really make a difference in terms of turning these corridors into what they once were and perhaps can be again. So this is a commitment of ours. We're beginning here in the Old South End, and we're treating this as a pilot project that is already funded, and we're going to do it. We believe, though, that when we demonstrate the success we can see here, that will allow our larger vision, as contained in the American Rescue Plan that we announced last week, to be embraced for corridors like this citywide. We hear time and time again how important investments in neighborhoods is, and it is. It's exciting what's happening over my shoulder, in the core of Toledo, in the downtown, but our neighborhoods need to thrive in order for all Toledoans to feel invested in the direction we're headed. So when you take in totality what we're doing in the American Rescue Plan with the lead line replacements, with the demolitions, with some of the incentives we've created to attract small businesses into neighborhoods, program after program in our Toledo Recovery Plan promotes neighborhoods, and probably none better than what you're seeing right here as a true embrace of the neighborhood concept of economic development, but knowing that can spawn more progress in housing and everything else we cherish. So with that slightly delayed and maybe overly long-winded preamble, I'd like to turn it over now to Sandy Spang, our Commissioner of Economic Development.
Thank you, Mayor. The property behind us is owned by Maria and Dwayne Rodriguez Winter. Over the last 25 years, Maria and Dwayne have invested. They've purchased and renovated commercial properties on Broadway, including the buildings that now contain the Sophia Quintero Arts and Cultural Center, which they renovated and donated to the Sophia Quintero Center. There are over 20 vacant first-floor commercial spaces on Broadway. Maria and Dwayne couldn't be with us today, but in conversation with Maria, she said, while investing in restoring these historic buildings has been an adventure, it has also been costly, with many surprises and setbacks. The Rodriguez Winters' commitment to the Old South End extends to involvement in the Historic South efforts to enhance the Broadway corridor and the creation of the Toledo Design Center's Old South End Master Plan. Maria continued, we purchased 1217 Broadway with the idea of putting in a business such as a Latino restaurant. The result should be a business that creates a healthy and safe environment for employees and customers, while benefiting the neighborhood and the entire Toledo community. Unfortunately, while these buildings are vitally important to their neighborhood's history and sense of place and community, the cost of facade and interior upgrades often exceeds the value of the building in its current condition. The Whitebox grant pilot program will help property owners like Maria and Dwayne bring these vacant commercial spaces up to building code, fire safety code, Americans with Disabilities code, and then create a functional space that a business can occupy. The pilot program provides a matching grant of up to $50,000 for first floor interior upgrades. Building owners are required to provide a 30% match. And they must either occupy the space, self-occupy as a business owner, or lease, put the property up for lease so that local businesses can occupy those spaces. Currently, properties on the Broadway Avenue are the only ones that are eligible for the pilot program. But it is our goal, as the mayor said, to extend this to all low to moderate income census tracts throughout the city and raise the top amount that can be invested to $75,000. The Facade Improvement Grant is designed to address the exterior condition and appearance of commercial and industrial properties throughout low to moderate income census tracts in Toledo. That has such an impact on the vibrancy of neighborhoods, that exterior condition. The Facade Improvement Grant, FIG as we call it, will help property owners transform the facade of commercial and industrial buildings located in those census tracts, and we will provide a 50% matching grant of up to $40,000 to reimburse eligible expenses. These programs, joined together with our Community Reinvestment Area program, which provides a tax abatement on a portion of the upgrades to the properties, will bring vibrancy and be valuable tools for our neighborhoods as they look to bring goods and services back to neighbors. Now, I want to introduce you to Steve Seaton, who's the president of the Broadway Corridor Coalition. Steve's going to give us the perspective on what these programs can mean to a neighborhood organization. Steve, would you join us?
Thank you, Sandy, and Mayor and your team. We want to welcome you back to the Old South End. We know that you've been here many times, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. And I want to say that we're very pleased to be the pilot project for these new economic development incentives. We have an authentic urban village here, and this is going to do nothing more than enhance that. I would also like to say to the mayor, thank you for leadership in economic development. Thank you for Sandy, and thank you for your economic development leadership team. I think the best in the city's history, Mayor, and the proof is really in the pudding. The other thing I'd like to say is that this is going to be something I think that's really applicable to all the commercial corridors in the city, in our neighborhoods, as the mayor alluded to. And you know, this is going to help places like Junction, like Main Street in the east side, like the Monroe Street corridor, Sylvania Avenue, on and on. And this is really going to be a game changer. Economic development incentives are needed in order to stimulate private capital. And so this is really a partnership between the public and private sector on this extremely busy corridor we have here. So in any case, thank you so much, and we are going to try to be worthy of your efforts here, and I think you're going to see positive results. So thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brandon Selhorst, Commissioner of Economic Development for the City of Toledo. You know, there are three primary obstacles for job creation and investment. They are speed to market, risk, and money. These are the obstacles that your economic development team works every day to help businesses address and overcome. The Vibrancy Initiative programs are designed to prime the pump for job creation and investment by addressing these obstacles in our neighborhood business districts. These programs will increase speed to market for businesses looking to open a storefront by proactively overcoming the risk associated with creating a tenant-ready space. In industrial development, we call this shovel-ready, and it has been a highly effective redevelopment strategy in this city that has resulted in the revitalization of over 500 acres and the creation of over 2,300 jobs. The Vibrancy Initiative will help solve what equates to a bad math problem. Often the construction cost of bringing these buildings back to an attractive, safe, and usable state is prohibitive, and traditional financing is typically not easy to obtain. Additionally, these projects typically don't qualify for federal and state assistance, which have been essential for the large multi-million-dollar historic redevelopment projects in the city. The new Facade Improvement Grant and Whitebox grant programs address these obstacles and empower developers who want to invest in Toledo. Many of the recent exciting redevelopment projects in our city have been at the work of Toledo-based developers who are committed to the revitalization of their hometown. I want to introduce you to one such developer, Matt Rubin of Crane Development, whose Library Square project, which is featured here on the board right beside me, is one such project that we look to achieve with these programs. So with that, I'd like to invite Matt Rubin up to give the perspective of a developer on the importance of the Vibrancy Initiative. Matt?
Thank you, Brandon, and good morning. My name is Matt Rubin, and my partner Julia Randles and I are the principals of Crane Development. We're a local real estate development company that's focused on accelerating the revitalization of the Glass City. We have 7 properties that we own in Toledo, and at this point we've successfully redeveloped 5 of those. Brandon's right, and this is a tough math problem, and while it's difficult to get that problem right, to get these projects to work, one thing that we found is that a critical component of that is bringing in a first floor tenant into that vacant commercial space. And when you do factor that into the math problem, that the final product is always greater than the sum of its parts. And the impact on these neighborhoods that we've seen from businesses in our properties like Fowl and Fodder, Forevermore Bridal, BMWC Constructors, and soon to be Bella Rose Beauty Salon is incredibly powerful. These businesses have created incredible return on investment as new jobs, new income tax and sales tax revenue for the city. But most importantly, these businesses have become a vibrant piece of the fabric of our culture. Whereas before, these properties had boarded up or empty glass windows, now you see them filled with life and vitality, and it makes Toledo a place that's really special and worth living when you're tapping into those entrepreneurs. So we're excited about the Facade Grant program, we're excited about the Whitebox program, and we believe these are going to help reduce the barriers to entry for a lot of these first floor commercial spaces. So we want to thank the city and the entrepreneurs in Toledo. We look forward to working with you and making sure that these programs have the absolute best return on investment for our community. Thank you.
So who knows, maybe one of the new businesses that will locate in this corridor as part of our Vibrancy Initiative would be a muffler shop, for instance, and that I really expected more laughter after the loudest mufflerless car in Toledo's history zoomed by here. But the idea here is we're focused on neighborhood vitality, economic energy in neighborhoods, and you see that all throughout the American Rescue Plan, again, whether it's the lead service lines or the $12 million, making investments in parks and fixing tennis courts and ball diamonds, or whether it's something like this. All throughout our initiative, which, again, is before council tomorrow for the first time for a public conversation, you see initiatives like this that put resources in the neighborhoods where people live. We're so excited about this particular initiative, again, we're calling it the Vibrancy Initiative, that we're kicking it off early. We're starting it as a pilot program in this neighborhood, and we think it has the ability to succeed and help stoke activity and excitement in the neighborhood. So, does anyone else have anything to say for the good of the order? I don't know if there's any questions, or if there are, maybe we can do them one-on-one, but other than that, thank you, everyone, for being here, and I hope you were able to hear. So, all right, thank you. So, no one left in my
Sandy lost it.
Okay. Only the people behind me. The people who couldn't hear the joke laughed, and all the recipient, the people who heard it better. So, well, let me see what's going on.
20 vacancies.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Pleasure to meet you.
That's pretty cool. 1800s.
me to come and speak to the ECC about these programs, I'd love to come and chat.
You do it Zoom, it's so easy.
Yeah, happy to be a part of
Yeah, they
it.
look great.
As soon as you get that one